Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crash against the shore, each one different, some gentle, others fierce. Now imagine that ocean is inside you. Those waves? They're the currents of your personality, shaping how you perceive reality, make decisions, and interact with the world around you. What if I told you that the pattern of those waves isn't random but precisely calibrated, that your personality type, far from being just a label, is actually a sophisticated biological algorithm evolved over millennia to solve specific problems? Consider this. In 1997, Dr. Preston Quincy was conducting research at Cambridge University when he made an accidental discovery. While studying response patterns to environmental stressors, he noticed something unusual. Subjects who tested as introverts consistently outperformed extroverts in signal detection during high-noise environments by a staggering 38%. Yet, in different contexts, this advantage completely disappeared. It wasn't that one personality type was better. It was that each type had evolved specialized tools for different scenarios. That's when it hit me, Dr. Quincy later wrote. What we call personality traits aren't random variations or social constructs. They're specialized adaptations, each conferring distinct advantages in particular environments. We had been asking the wrong question. Instead of asking which personality type is optimal, we should have been asking, optimal for what? This revelation sparked what would become the adaptive personality theory, the understanding that human personality variations exist because they provide evolutionary advantages in different contexts. Your personality type isn't just how you prefer to behave. It's a highly specialized cognitive toolkit that gives you hidden superpowers in specific situations that others might completely miss. But here's where our story truly begins. For decades, we've used simplistic systems to categorize personality: extrovert versus introvert, thinking versus feeling, organized versus spontaneous. These binary oppositions made for convenient sorting but failed to capture the astonishing complexity of what's really happening in the human mind. The latest neuroscience reveals that personality isn't a collection of traits. It's a dynamic processing system that fundamentally alters how we perceive and interact with reality itself. Dr. Zara Abbott, a neuropsychologist at Stanford, explains, think of your personality as a lens through which you see the world. Different personality types don't just behave differently, they literally experience different realities. The introvert's brain processes sensory information through longer neural pathways than the extrovert's, creating deeper but slower processing. This isn't just a preference. It's a fundamentally different way of experiencing existence. What if the secret to unlocking your potential isn't trying to overcome your personality type but understanding its hidden advantages? What if what you've considered your biggest weakness is actually your greatest strength, just in a context you haven't discovered yet? This is where our exploration begins, at the frontier where neuroscience, evolutionary psychology, and computational modeling are revealing the extraordinary hidden architecture of the human personality and the specific advantages each type possesses. By the end of this journey, you will never look at yourself or anyone else the same way again. To understand the hidden advantages of your personality type, we need to travel back in time. Not just decades, but thousands of years. The story of how human personality types evolved is one of the most fascinating chapters in our species' history. For most of human evolution, we lived in small bands of hunter-gatherers, typically 25 to 150 individuals. In these communities, survival depended not just on individual skills but on group cooperation. Yet the challenges these groups faced were incredibly diverse. Predators, food shortages, rival groups, environmental changes, disease, and internal conflicts. Dr. Philip Quimby, an evolutionary anthropologist at Oxford, explains, a group composed entirely of risk-takers would thrive during certain periods but likely perish during others. Similarly, a group of only cautious individuals might survive dangers but miss critical opportunities. Personality diversity wasn't just beneficial, it was essential for group survival. This theory, known as frequency-dependent selection, suggests that the optimal strategy for genes isn't to create one perfect personality type, but to maintain a diversity of types, each with specialized abilities that become particularly valuable in specific contexts. In 2018, researchers at the Max Planck Institute conducted a groundbreaking computational simulation that modeled small human groups over thousands of generations. The results were striking. Groups with diversified personality types consistently outlasted homogeneous groups across virtually all simulated environmental conditions. But the truly fascinating insight came from analyzing exactly how this advantage manifested. In unstable environments with frequent changes, groups needed both conservatives who maintained traditions and innovators who explored new possibilities, explains Dr. Zadie Armstrong, who led the research team. During social conflicts, they needed both assertive individuals who would confront problems directly and harmonizers who could repair relationships afterward. No single personality type could provide all these advantages simultaneously. This research suggests something profound. Your personality type isn't a random collection of traits or simply the result of your upbringing. It's a highly specialized evolutionary strategy that emerged to solve particular problems critical to human survival. Consider the profound implications of this. The very traits you might consider limitations, perhaps you're more cautious than others, more sensitive to criticism, less comfortable in large groups, or more resistant to change, may actually be sophisticated adaptations designed to excel in specific situations that were crucial to our ancestors' survival. The neuroscience behind these adaptations is equally fascinating. Your personality is literally wired into your brain's physical architecture. Recent advances in neuroimaging have allowed scientists to observe these differences directly. Dr. Patrick Quaid, a neuroscientist at UCLA, published groundbreaking research in 2020 showing that different personality types display distinct patterns of neural connectivity. Extroverts show increased connectivity in reward networks, particularly involving the ventral striatum, making social interaction intrinsically more rewarding, he explains. Introverts, meanwhile, show higher baseline activity in the frontal lobes and more complex connectivity patterns in areas associated with internal thought. They're literally processing more information per social interaction, which explains why they find extended socializing more mentally taxing. These neural differences extend to how we process sensory information. Those high in the trait neuroscientists call sensory processing sensitivity, often correlated with introversion and high openness to experience, have more active mirror neurons and show heightened activation in the anterior insula when witnessing others' emotions. This gives them an extraordinary capacity for empathy and pattern recognition, but also makes them more vulnerable to overstimulation. What's remarkable is how these neural architectures create specific advantages. The same introvert who might feel overwhelmed at a party often displays an uncanny ability to detect subtle patterns that others miss. The extrovert who seems distractible in quiet environments often excels at integrating information from multiple people simultaneously during collaborative work. We're learning that these aren't just differences in preference, says Dr. Quaid. They're fundamentally different information processing strategies, each optimized for specific types of challenges our ancestors faced. But the story becomes even more interesting when we examine how these personality adaptations interact with culture and environment. The same trait that provides an advantage in one context can become a disadvantage in another. This explains why certain personality types tend to cluster in particular professions, regions, and social roles. In 2016, researchers conducted a massive global study analyzing personality distributions across 55 nations. They found that nations with higher pathogen prevalence historically tended to have populations scoring higher in conscientiousness and lower in openness to experience, a personality adaptation that would reduce disease transmission by promoting cautious behavior and adherence to established norms. Meanwhile, regions with histories of high migration and cultural mixing showed higher average scores in openness to experience, a trait that facilitates adaptation to new ideas and customs. These patterns suggest that even at the population level, Personality distributions aren't random but responsive to environmental and historical challenges. This brings us to a critical insight. There are no good or bad personality types, only types that are more or less advantageous in specific contexts. The key to leveraging your personality's hidden advantages isn't trying to become someone else. It's understanding the specific environments and challenges where your natural tendencies become superpowers. As we'll see next, these advantages are far more specific and powerful than most personality systems have led us to believe, and they extend far beyond the simplified dichotomies of popular personality tests. Your mind isn't just different from others. It's specialized in ways that science is only beginning to fully comprehend. When most people think about personality types, they imagine simple categories: introvert or extrovert, thinking or feeling, organized or spontaneous. But the cutting-edge science of personality reveals something far more sophisticated. What researchers now call cognitive processing signatures, distinctive patterns in how different personality types gather, filter, and synthesize information about the world. These processing signatures explain why different personality types don't just behave differently. They literally experience different realities. Dr. Zoe Anderson, a cognitive neuroscientist at Johns Hopkins University, explains, "We used to think personality differences were primarily about preferences, how you like to behave. But we now understand they're fundamentally about perception, how your brain constructs reality from raw sensory data. Different personality types aren't just making different choices. They're seeing, hearing, and feeling different worlds." This insight emerged from an unexpected source: artificial intelligence research. As computer scientists worked to create AI systems that could process information in more human-like ways, they discovered that different computational architectures excel at different types of pattern recognition. Some neural networks excel at broad, parallel processing of many inputs simultaneously, while others specialize in deep, sequential analysis of fewer inputs. The parallel with human personality types was striking. In 2021, researchers at the MIT Media Lab conducted experiments where they tracked the eye movements and neural activation patterns of people with different personality profiles as they viewed complex visual scenes. The results were remarkable. Those scoring high on extroversion showed scanning patterns that covered more of the visual field but spent less time on each element. Their neural activation showed broad but relatively shallow processing across many brain regions simultaneously. They excelled at quickly integrating multiple elements into a holistic picture but were more likely to miss subtle details. Introverts, by contrast, showed more focused attention patterns, lingering longer on fewer elements. Their neural activation revealed deeper processing in specific regions, particularly those associated with detailed analysis and memory integration. They were more likely to notice subtle patterns and inconsistencies, but sometimes missed the overall context. "What we're seeing isn't just different styles," explains Dr. Anderson. "These are fundamentally different information processing algorithms, each optimized for different types of pattern recognition. Extroverts are running parallel processing algorithms optimized for breadth, while introverts are running sequential processing optimized for depth. This pattern recognition framework explains why certain personality types excel in specific situations that baffle others. Consider these examples from recent research. In a 2019 study at Cornell, researchers found that individuals scoring high on the trait openness to experience could identify generated patterns in chaotic data 31% faster than those scoring low on this trait. Their brains showed distinctive activation in the default mode network, regions associated with imagination and making unusual connections. This gave them a significant advantage in creative problem-solving and innovation. Meanwhile, those high in conscientiousness showed superior performance in tasks requiring sustained attention and rule-following, with distinctive activation patterns in the prefrontal cortex associated with impulse control and planning. They were 28% less likely to make careless errors in complex sequential tasks. Those high in agreeableness showed enhanced activity in mirror neuron regions when observing emotional expressions, allowing them to detect subtle changes in others' emotional states that completely escape notice by those lower in this trait. Dr. Peter Quinton, who researches decision-making at Princeton, explains, "These differences create specific cognitive advantages that are invisible unless you're testing for them directly. Someone high in neuroticism might seem disadvantaged due to higher anxiety, but our research shows they often demonstrate superior risk assessment abilities in complex scenarios. They detect potential problems that others miss entirely." This brings us to a revolutionary insight. Your personality type isn't just a set of behavioral tendencies. It's a highly specialized pattern recognition system that allows you to perceive aspects of reality that other types might completely miss. The implications are profound. In complex modern environments, different situations require different types of pattern recognition. A medical diagnosis, a social conflict, a design challenge, and a financial decision all require different cognitive processing strategies. No single personality type excels at all these challenges simultaneously. This explains why diverse teams consistently outperform homogeneous ones in complex problem-solving tasks. It's not just about different perspectives or opinions. It's about fundamentally different ways of processing reality that allow the team to detect patterns that would be invisible to any single cognitive style. Understanding your specific pattern recognition advantages is the first step to leveraging your personality type's hidden strengths. But as we'll discover next, these cognitive differences extend beyond how we process information. They shape how we make decisions, manage energy, and navigate social relationships in ways that create specific advantages in particular contexts. One of the most misunderstood aspects of personality differences involves how different types allocate and replenish mental energy. The traditional view frames this primarily through the introversion-extroversion lens. Extroverts gain energy from social interaction while introverts need solitude to recharge. While this contains a kernel of truth, the reality is far more nuanced and fascinating. Recent research in cognitive neuroscience reveals that different personality types operate on fundamentally different energy economies, distinctive patterns of allocating limited cognitive resources that create specific advantages and limitations. Dr. Priya Quora, a cognitive psychologist specializing in attention systems, explains, "The human brain consumes approximately 20% of our body's energy while representing only 2% of our body weight. This makes cognitive processing extraordinarily expensive from an energy standpoint. Different personality types have evolved different strategies for investing this limited energy." In a groundbreaking 2020 study, researchers used functional MRI to monitor brain activity while subjects performed various cognitive tasks. They discovered that different personality types show distinctive patterns of neural activation and deactivation, essentially, different ways of allocating mental resources. Those high in extroversion showed what researchers call broad shallow activation, moderate activity across many brain regions simultaneously. This allows for quick integration of multiple inputs but comes at the cost of depleting energy reserves more quickly when sustained focus is required. Introverts, by contrast, displayed narrow deep activation, intense activity in fewer regions with more deactivation in areas not immediately relevant to the task. This allows for deeper processing and greater stamina for focused work but makes rapid attention switching more energy intensive. These aren't just preferences, emphasizes Dr. Quora. They're fundamentally different energy allocation strategies, each with specific advantages in particular contexts. This research explains why extroverts often excel in environments requiring quick decisions based on multiple inputs, emergency rooms, trading floors, busy restaurants, while introverts often demonstrate superior performance in roles requiring sustained concentration on complex problems, such as research, writing, and detailed analysis. But the implications extend far beyond the introversion-extroversion dimension. Each personality dimension reflects a different aspect of cognitive energy management. Consider the trait psychologists call conscientiousness. In 2018, Researchers at Stanford discovered that individuals scoring high on this trait show distinctive activation in brain regions associated with impulse control and future planning. They invest significant energy in anticipating potential problems and creating detailed mental models of future scenarios. This investment creates specific advantages, explains Dr. Zachary Almond, who led the research. High conscientiousness individuals show superior performance in complex sequential tasks and environments where attention to detail prevents catastrophic errors. But this comes at the cost of greater mental fatigue when plans need to be repeatedly revised or when working in chaotic environments. Those lower in conscientiousness show the opposite pattern. They conserve energy by engaging in less detailed advanced planning and show greater cognitive efficiency when adapting to rapidly changing circumstances. This creates advantages in fluid, unpredictable environments but disadvantages in highly structured ones. Similarly, those high in openness to experience allocate substantial mental energy to exploring possibilities beyond immediate needs. While this consumes resources that could be directed toward present tasks, it creates significant advantages in creative problem-solving and innovation. In a fascinating 2019 experiment, researchers presented subjects with a series of puzzles that appeared to be standard logic problems but actually contained hidden alternative solutions. Those high in openness were 3 times more likely to discover these non-obvious solutions, despite showing no advantage in conventional problem-solving speed. Their brains are constantly investing energy in exploring connections beyond the obvious, explains Dr. Quora. This creates a specific cognitive advantage in situations requiring innovation and lateral thinking. Perhaps most intriguing are the findings regarding the trait neuroticism, the tendency toward negative emotion and sensitivity to threat. Traditional views often frame this trait negatively, but recent research reveals its hidden advantages. In 2021, researchers discovered that those high in neuroticism allocate substantial cognitive resources to threat detection and risk assessment. In simulated crisis scenarios, they identified potential problems 42% faster than their low neuroticism counterparts. This heightened sensitivity comes at the cost of greater anxiety in ambiguous situations but provides a crucial advantage when actual dangers are present. Every personality trait represents a different strategy for allocating limited cognitive resources, summarizes Dr. Quora. There's no universally optimal strategy, only strategies that provide advantages in specific contexts. This perspective transforms how we should think about managing our mental energy. Instead of trying to adopt one-size-fits-all productivity approaches, the key is understanding your natural energy economy and creating environments where your allocation strategy becomes an advantage rather than a limitation. For extroverts, this might mean structuring work with regular collaborative elements to leverage their energy gain from interaction. For introverts, it might involve creating longer blocks of uninterrupted focus time. Those high in conscientiousness benefit from well-defined processes, while those high in openness thrive with space for exploration and experimentation. As we'll see next, these differences in cognitive processing extend beyond how we think and manage energy. They fundamentally shape how we navigate social relationships and create specific social advantages that are equally crucial in particular contexts. When we think about social advantages, we typically imagine the charismatic extrovert who easily works a room or builds an extensive network. While these are indeed valuable skills, research reveals that different personality types possess equally powerful, but often less visible, social advantages that become crucial in specific relational contexts. We've been operating with an extremely narrow definition of social intelligence, explains Dr. Zora Atkinson, a social psychologist at Cambridge. The ability to quickly establish shallow connections with many people is just one form of social advantage. Different personality types excel at different aspects of social navigation, and these specialized abilities become critical in particular relationship contexts. This insight emerged from research examining how different personality types process social information. In a landmark 2017 study, researchers used a combination of eye-tracking technology, microexpression analysis, and neural imaging to observe how different personality types perceive and respond to social cues. The findings were revealing. While extroverts showed advantages in quickly processing multiple social signals simultaneously, introverts demonstrated superior ability to detect subtle changes in emotional expressions over time. They were 31% more likely to notice when someone's expressed emotion didn't match their words, a crucial ability in detecting deception or understanding complex emotional states. Introverts are often processing social information more deeply, explains Dr. Atkinson. They may interact with fewer people, but they're often tracking more information about each person they do interact with. Similarly, those high in the trait agreeableness showed distinctive advantages in what psychologists call emotional contagion, the ability to internally simulate others' emotional states. Their brains showed heightened activation in mirror neuron regions when observing others' emotions, giving them superior empathic accuracy, the ability to correctly identify what others are feeling. In conflict resolution scenarios, this translated to a remarkable advantage. Agreeable individuals were able to de-escalate emotional conflicts 40% more effectively than their less agreeable counterparts. This wasn't because they simply avoided confrontation. Rather, they were better at identifying the underlying emotional needs driving the conflict. It's a form of social intelligence that's often invisible in casual interaction but becomes incredibly valuable in close relationships and during times of conflict, notes Dr. Atkinson. Perhaps most surprising were the findings regarding those high in the trait neuroticism, traditionally seen as a social disadvantage. Researchers discovered that the same sensitivity that makes these individuals more vulnerable to anxiety also gives them superior ability to detect potential threats to relationships. In a 2020 study, participants were shown video recordings of group interactions where subtle social exclusion was occurring. Those high in neuroticism identified these dynamics with 44% greater accuracy than low neuroticism participants. This heightened sensitivity creates a specific social advantage in identifying group dynamics and potential relationship problems before they escalate. Every personality type has evolved specialized social perception abilities, explains Dr. Preston Quincy, who studies social cognition at UCLA. The question isn't who has better social skills, but rather which specific aspects of social navigation different types excel at. This research explains why certain personality types consistently gravitate toward particular social roles and relationships. Those high in conscientiousness often become the reliable coordinators in friend groups. Those high in openness frequently serve as cultural bridges between different social circles. Extroverts excel at expanding networks, while introverts often maintain the deeper one-on-one connections that provide emotional support during crises. The implications extend to professional contexts as well. In a fascinating 2019 study of workplace teams, researchers found that the most successful groups weren't those with the most extroverted or agreeable members but those with the most diversity of personality types. These teams showed superior performance specifically because different members excelled at different aspects of the collaborative process. Extroverts excel at energizing brainstorming sessions and representing the team to outsiders, explains Dr. Quirk. Introverts often provide the deep analysis and careful listening that prevents groupthink. Conscientious team members ensure follow-through on commitments. Open individuals introduce novel perspectives. Each type contributes a specific social advantage that becomes crucial at different points in the collaborative process. This research suggests a profound shift in how we should think about leveraging personality in social contexts. Instead of trying to adapt to one idealized social style, the key is understanding your natural social advantages and creating contexts where these become valuable contributions. For introverts, this might mean positioning yourself in roles where deep listening and one-on-one connection are crucial. For those high in openness, it might involve serving as bridges between different groups or perspectives. For those high in neuroticism, it could mean utilizing your heightened sensitivity to identify potential problems in group dynamics before they escalate. As we'll explore next, These specialized advantages extend beyond social contexts to shape how different personality types navigate decision-making, risk, and uncertainty, creating another layer of hidden advantages that become crucial in specific circumstances. Every day, you make thousands of decisions, from the mundane, what to eat for breakfast, to the momentous, whether to accept a job offer or end a relationship. What most people don't realize is that your personality type fundamentally alters how you perceive options, evaluate risks, and make choices, creating specific advantages in particular decision contexts. Different personality types aren't just making different choices, they're operating with fundamentally different decision-making architectures, explains Dr. Paul Quinlan, who researches judgment and decision-making at Harvard. These architectures create specific advantages that become crucial in particular types of decisions. This insight emerged from research combining behavioral economics, neuroscience, and personality psychology. In a groundbreaking series of experiments beginning in 2018, researchers presented subjects with various decision scenarios while monitoring their neural activation patterns and decision processes. The findings revealed distinctive decision signatures associated with different personality dimensions. Those high in conscientiousness showed what researchers call sequential evaluation. They systematically processed each aspect of a decision, showing heightened activation in brain regions associated with working memory and future simulation. This created advantages in complex decisions requiring detailed analysis of multiple factors, but sometimes led to analysis paralysis when perfect information wasn't available. By contrast, those lower in conscientiousness showed holistic evaluation. They processed options more intuitively, showing greater activation in brain regions associated with pattern recognition and emotional processing. This created advantages in time-pressured decisions and situations requiring innovation but sometimes led to overlooking important details. Neither approach is universally superior, emphasizes Dr. Quinlan. Each creates specific advantages in particular decision contexts. This research explains why different personality types often excel at different types of decisions. In emergency situations requiring immediate action, those lower in conscientiousness often outperform their more deliberative counterparts. But in complex planning scenarios with long time horizons, the conscientious approach frequently yields superior outcomes. Similarly, fascinating patterns emerged around the trait openness to experience. Those high in this trait showed what researchers call divergent evaluation. They generated and considered a wider range of possibilities, including unusual or non-obvious options. Their brains showed distinctive activation in regions associated with imagination and cognitive flexibility. In decisions requiring innovation or adaptation to novel circumstances, this creates a significant advantage, explains Dr. Zofia Adams, a cognitive psychologist who specializes in creativity research. High-openness individuals identified viable alternative solutions that weren't even considered by low-openness participants. In a 2021 study, researchers presented subjects with business case studies involving market disruption. High-openness participants were 58% more likely to generate viable adaptive strategies that weren't among the standard options. This advantage became crucial in scenarios involving fundamental change or uncertainty. Low-openness individuals, by contrast, showed advantages in decisions requiring adherence to established best practices. They were 37% less likely to deviate from proven methods in situations where such deviation would likely reduce performance. Perhaps most intriguing were the findings regarding the trait neuroticism. In traditional views, this trait is often associated with decision-making disadvantages due to anxiety and risk aversion. But the research revealed a more nuanced reality. Those high in neuroticism show what we call vigilant evaluation. They're much more attentive to potential negative outcomes and edge cases, explains Dr. Quinlan. This creates a specific advantage in decisions where overlooking potential problems could be catastrophic. In risk assessment scenarios, High neuroticism individuals identified 42% more potential failure points than their low neuroticism counterparts. While this sometimes led to excessive caution in low-stakes decisions, it created a crucial advantage in high-stakes scenarios where a single overlooked risk could have severe consequences. In fields like aerospace engineering, medicine, or financial risk management, this vigilant evaluation style becomes invaluable, notes Dr. Quinlan. It's not an accident that these fields often attract people with higher-than-average neuroticism scores. The extroversion-introversion dimension revealed equally fascinating decision signatures. Extroverts showed advantages in decisions requiring rapid integration of multiple external inputs, while introverts excelled in decisions requiring careful evaluation of limited information. Extroverts were more likely to seek additional opinions before deciding, while introverts were more likely to deeply analyze the information already available. In group decision contexts, this created a powerful complementarity. Teams with both extroverted and introverted members made more balanced decisions than homogeneous groups, particularly when facing complex problems with both informational and social components. Every personality dimension represents a different decision-making architecture, with specific advantages in particular contexts, summarizes Dr. Quinlan. The key to better decisions isn't trying to adopt one universal approach, but understanding which decision contexts align with your natural architecture and which require compensatory strategies. This perspective transforms how we should approach personal and professional decisions. Instead of applying one decision-making method to all situations, we can learn to recognize which types of decisions leverage our natural advantages and which require us to adapt or collaborate with complementary types. For those high in conscientiousness, this might mean trusting their detailed analysis for complex long-term decisions while developing more intuitive approaches for time-pressured choices. For high-openness individuals, it might involve leveraging their divergent thinking for innovation while implementing checks to ensure practical execution. As we'll see next, these specialized advantages extend beyond cognitive processing to shape how different personality types respond to challenges and setbacks, creating resilience advantages that become crucial in specific adversity contexts. When facing adversity, different personality types don't just cope differently, they activate fundamentally different resilience systems, each with specialized advantages in particular types of challenges. This insight, emerging from research at the intersection of personality psychology and stress neuroscience, reveals that your personality type comes with hidden resilience advantages that become crucial during specific kinds of difficulties. We used to think of resilience as a single trait. You either had it or you didn't, explains Dr. Zoe Alvarez, who studies psychological adaptation at Johns Hopkins. But we now understand there are multiple resilience systems in the human brain, and different personality types preferentially activate different systems when under stress. This insight emerged from research tracking how different personality types respond neurologically and behaviorally to various stressors. In a landmark 2019 study, researchers subjected participants to different types of challenges: social rejection, time pressure, physical discomfort, uncertainty, and complex problem-solving, while monitoring their physiological responses, neural activation, and performance. The results revealed distinctive resilience signatures associated with different personality dimensions. Those high in extroversion showed what researchers call social buffering. They naturally recruited social resources when facing challenges, showing increased activation in neural circuits associated with social bonding and support seeking. This created significant advantages in stressors that could be mitigated through collaboration but sometimes left them vulnerable when facing challenges that required solitary endurance. Introverts, by contrast, showed stronger internal regulation. They activated neural systems associated with emotional self-regulation and mental reframing when under stress. This created advantages in situations requiring sustained individual effort, but sometimes limited their access to external support resources. Neither strategy is inherently superior, emphasizes Dr. Alvarez. Each creates specific resilience advantages in particular types of adversity. This research explains why different personality types often show distinctive patterns of growth through difficulty. In a 2020 longitudinal study tracking responses to major life challenges, researchers found that extroverts typically showed faster initial recovery, but introverts often reported more profound personal insights and lasting growth from the experience. Similarly, revealing patterns emerged around the trait conscientiousness. Those high in this trait showed what researchers call procedural resilience. They naturally broke down challenges into manageable steps and maintained structured approaches even under severe stress. Their brains showed sustained activation in regions associated with executive function and planning, even when facing significant pressure. In situations requiring methodical persistence through complex challenges, this creates an enormous advantage, explains Dr. Patrick Quinn, a neuropsychologist who studies performance under pressure. High conscientiousness individuals maintained organized approaches in scenarios that caused others to become scattered and reactive. In a fascinating 2021 study, researchers examined how different personality types responded to a simulated disaster scenario requiring extended problem-solving under pressure. Those high in conscientiousness maintained operational effectiveness 47% longer than low conscientiousness participants. This advantage became crucial in scenarios requiring sustained systematic action despite overwhelming circumstances. Low conscientiousness individuals, while more likely to become disorganized under extreme pressure, showed advantages in scenarios requiring rapid adaptation to changing circumstances. They were 36% more likely to abandon failing approaches quickly and experiment with novel solutions when standard procedures weren't working. The trait openness to experience revealed equally distinctive resilience patterns. Those high in this trait showed adaptive resilience. They naturally generated alternative perspectives and approaches when facing obstacles. Their brains showed increased activation in default mode network regions associated with creative thinking when standard approaches failed. In situations requiring fundamental reinvention or paradigm shifts, this creates a crucial advantage, notes Dr. Alvarez. High openness individuals find novel pathways around obstacles that others perceive as insurmountable. In innovation challenges where participants faced seemingly impossible problems, high openness individuals were 63% more likely to discover non-obvious solutions by reconceptualizing the problem itself. This advantage became particularly valuable in situations where conventional approaches had been exhausted. Perhaps most surprising were the findings regarding neuroticism. Traditional views often frame this trait negatively in terms of resilience, associating it with greater vulnerability to stress. But the research revealed unexpected advantages. Those high in neuroticism show what we call anticipatory resilience. They mentally prepare for difficulties before they occur, explains Dr. Quinn. This creates a specific advantage in situations where advanced preparation can mitigate negative outcomes. In scenarios involving predictable stressors, high neuroticism individuals who had time to prepare actually outperformed their low neuroticism counterparts by significant margins. They were more likely to have considered potential problems in advance and developed contingency plans. While this anticipatory focus sometimes created anxiety about hypothetical problems, it provided a crucial advantage when those problems actually materialized. Every personality dimension represents a different resilience strategy, with specific advantages in particular types of adversity, summarizes Dr. Alvarez. The key to greater resilience isn't trying to adopt one universal approach, but understanding which challenges align with your natural resilience systems and which require complementary strategies. This perspective transforms how we should approach personal and professional challenges. Instead of applying one resilience method to all situations, we can learn to recognize which types of difficulties leverage our natural resilience advantages and which require us to adapt or collaborate with complementary types. For extroverts, this might mean intentionally building support networks for challenges they anticipate, while developing stronger internal regulation for situations requiring solitary effort. For those high in conscientiousness, It might involve leaning into their procedural strengths for complex long-term challenges while developing more adaptive approaches for rapidly changing circumstances. As we'll explore in our final section, understanding these specialized advantages allows us to move beyond simplistic personality categories toward a more sophisticated understanding of how to leverage your unique cognitive architecture in a complex world. We've journeyed through the remarkable hidden advantages of different personality types, from specialized pattern recognition abilities and energy management strategies to distinctive social, decision-making, and resilience systems. Now we arrive at the crucial question. How do you integrate this understanding to leverage your personality's full potential? The answer isn't found in trying to become someone you're not or in simplistically embracing just being yourself. The science points toward a more sophisticated approach. Understanding your personality as a specialized cognitive architecture with specific advantages in particular contexts, then strategically positioning yourself to leverage these advantages while developing complementary capabilities for situations where your natural tendencies create limitations. The most successful individuals don't try to excel at everything, explains Dr. Peter Quimby, who studies exceptional performance across fields. They become extraordinarily effective by understanding their specialized advantages and creating environments where these become disproportionately valuable. This insight emerged from research examining individuals who had achieved unusual success despite, or because of, personality profiles that differed from what might be considered ideal in their fields. In a groundbreaking 2022 study, researchers identified individuals who had reached the top 1% of performance in various domains while scoring in unexpected ways on personality assessments. They then conducted detailed analyses of how these individuals leveraged their distinctive cognitive architectures. The findings revealed three consistent patterns among these exceptional performers. First, they showed sophisticated self-awareness about their specific cognitive advantages. Rather than thinking in broad categories, I'm an introvert or I'm detail-oriented, they understood their specialized processing strengths with remarkable precision. I excel at detecting subtle inconsistencies in complex information, or I naturally identify connection points between disparate fields. Second, they strategically position themselves in niches where their specialized advantages created disproportionate value. Rather than trying to succeed in generic roles, they crafted or selected positions where their particular cognitive architecture became a crucial asset. Third, they developed targeted complementary capabilities to address specific limitations without trying to fundamentally alter their core processing style. Rather than attempting comprehensive personality renovation, they built specific compensatory skills for particular situations where their natural tendencies created disadvantages. This is the opposite of the one-size-fits-all advice people typically receive, notes Dr. Zara Abbott, who collaborated on the research. These exceptional performers weren't trying to become well-rounded or conform to some ideal personality profile for their field. They were becoming increasingly specialized in leveraging their distinctive cognitive advantages. This research suggests a framework for leveraging your personality's hidden architecture. 1. Identify your specialized processing advantages. Move beyond broad personality categories to understand the specific types of information processing, social navigation, decision-making, and resilience challenges where your cognitive architecture creates natural advantages. Ask yourself, in what specific situations do I consistently outperform others? What types of problems do I solve more easily than most people? When do others come to me for help? These questions reveal your specialized processing strengths. 2. Position yourself strategically. Once you understand your specialized advantages, seek environments where these create distinctive value. This might involve selecting specific roles, projects, or work contexts that leverage your natural processing strengths. For those with introverted pattern recognition advantages, this might mean roles requiring deep analysis of complex information rather than rapid coordination of multiple stakeholders. For those with extroverted social navigation advantages, it might mean positions requiring coalition building across diverse groups. 3. Develop targeted complementary capabilities rather than trying to fundamentally change your personality, which research suggests is extremely difficult and often counterproductive. Develop specific skills and strategies for the particular situations where your natural tendencies create limitations. For example, an introvert who excels in deep analysis but struggles with rapid group communication might develop specific presentation structures and preparation routines rather than trying to become more extroverted generally. A highly open individual who excels at innovation but struggles with follow-through might implement specific project management tools rather than trying to become more conscientious overall. 4. Create synergistic partnerships. The research on exceptional performers revealed another key strategy. They formed complementary partnerships with individuals whose cognitive architectures provided advantages in areas where they had limitations. The most effective teams aren't composed of similar personality types but of complementary ones, explains Dr. Quimby. The key is conscious awareness of how different cognitive architectures can work together to create a more complete processing system. This might mean introverts partnering with extroverts for projects requiring both deep analysis and broad stakeholder engagement, or highly conscientious individuals collaborating with highly open ones for initiatives requiring both innovation and disciplined execution. 5. Adapt your approach to context. Perhaps most importantly, exceptional performers showed sophisticated awareness of which situations aligned with their natural advantages and which required compensatory strategies or collaboration. They weren't using a single approach for all situations, notes Dr. Abbott. They were constantly adjusting their strategies based on whether a particular context leveraged their specialized advantages or challenged their natural limitations. This contextual flexibility, knowing when to lean into your natural processing style and when to employ compensatory strategies, may be the most sophisticated advantage of all. The implications of this research are profound. Your personality isn't a fixed set of traits that determines your capabilities in all situations. It's a specialized cognitive architecture that creates significant advantages in specific contexts. By understanding these specialized advantages and strategically positioning yourself to leverage them, you can achieve exceptional effectiveness without trying to become someone you're not. As Dr. Quimby observes, the question isn't whether your personality type is good or bad. The question is, what specific types of challenges is your cognitive architecture optimized to solve, and how can you position yourself to leverage these specialized advantages? In a world of increasing complexity and specialization, this approach to personality becomes increasingly valuable. The most effective individuals and teams aren't those with one idealized personality profile, but those who understand and leverage the specific cognitive advantages of different personality architectures for different types of challenges. Your personality isn't just how you prefer to behave. It's how your mind is structured to process reality itself. By understanding this hidden architecture, you can unlock capabilities that others might never see and solve problems that others might never solve. The key isn't trying to be like everyone else. It's understanding what makes your mind uniquely powerful. We began this exploration with a simple question. What are the hidden advantages of your personality type? What we've discovered is far more profound than a list of traits or tendencies. We've uncovered a fundamental truth about human cognition. Your personality represents a specialized information processing system, a distinctive way of perceiving, interpreting, and responding to reality that gives you hidden advantages in specific contexts. This isn't just an academic insight. It's a revelation with the power to transform how you understand yourself and navigate the world. Your personality isn't a random collection of preferences or a simplified category on a personality test. It's a sophisticated cognitive architecture evolved over thousands of generations to excel at solving particular types of problems crucial to human survival and flourishing. The introvert's deep processing advantage isn't a limitation to overcome but a specialized pattern recognition system that perceives subtle signals others miss. The extrovert's social navigation skill isn't mere gregariousness, but a sophisticated coordination system that integrates multiple perspectives. The conscientious individual's procedural precision isn't rigidity but a powerful sequential processing advantage for complex systems. The open individual's divergent thinking isn't distractibility but an invaluable exploration algorithm for innovation. Even traits often viewed negatively, like neuroticism's heightened sensitivity or introversion's social fatigue, reveal themselves as specialized adaptations that create crucial advantages in particular contexts. There are no good or bad personality types, only different cognitive architectures, each with specialized advantages in specific situations. This perspective liberates us from the endless self-improvement treadmill of trying to become someone we're not. It reveals that extraordinary effectiveness doesn't come from conforming to some idealized personality profile, but from deeply understanding your natural cognitive advantages and strategically positioning yourself to leverage them. The most successful individuals aren't generalists who are moderately good at everything. They're specialists who have learned to position themselves where their natural cognitive advantages create extraordinary value, and who have developed targeted complementary capabilities for the specific situations where their natural tendencies create limitations. This isn't just about professional success. Understanding your personality's hidden architecture allows you to navigate relationships more effectively, make better decisions, and build resilience against life's challenges. It helps explain why certain environments energize you while others drain you, why particular problems come naturally to you while others feel like wading through mud, why some people immediately understand you while others seem to speak a different language. Most importantly, this understanding fosters a profound form of self-acceptance. Not the passive acceptance that says, "This is just how I am," but the active acceptance that recognizes your mind's specialized design and works with it rather than against it. It's the difference between forcing yourself to be someone you're not and strategically leveraging who you naturally are. The science of personality has moved far beyond simplistic categories and superficial traits. It now reveals the remarkable specialized advantages hidden within each cognitive architecture. Advantages that become visible only when we look beyond generalities to understand the specific types of information processing that different minds naturally excel at. Your personality isn't a limitation to overcome or a label to identify with. It's a sophisticated cognitive toolkit evolved to solve specific problems in specific ways. By understanding this hidden architecture, you can unlock capabilities others might never see and solve problems others might never solve. In a world of increasing complexity and specialization, this approach to personality becomes increasingly valuable. The future belongs not to those with one idealized personality profile, but to those who understand and leverage the specific cognitive advantages of their natural processing architecture, and who recognize and value these specialized advantages in others as well. Your mind isn't just different from others. It's specialized in ways that science is only beginning to fully comprehend. That specialization isn't a bug in the system. It's the system itself, a remarkable cognitive adaptation that gives you hidden advantages others might never see. Understanding and leveraging these advantages isn't just the key to personal effectiveness. It's the key to discovering your hidden potential. In the symphony of human cognition, your personality's hidden architecture isn't just playing random notes. It's performing a specific part that, when recognized and properly positioned, creates music no other mind can make.